Hey gang, Dennis Tubbergen here with another economic update. Today I want to share with you an article published on gold money. The author of the article is Alistair MacLeod. Alistair is a very bright economic commentator and specializes in commentating when it comes to money and currencies. Excuse me. So Alistair starts the article by saying, this might seem a frivolous question while the dollar still retains its might and is universally accepted in preference to other less stable fiat currencies. However, it's becoming clear, at least to independent monetary observers, that in 2018, the dollar's primacy will be challenged by the yuan, which is the Chinese currency, as the pricing medium for energy and other key industrial commodities. Now, at the very least, he says in the article, if the dollar's future role diminishes, then there will be surplus dollars, which, unless they are withdrawn from circulation entirely, will result in a lower dollar on the foreign exchanges. Simply put, the more dollars that are circulating, the more of them there are, the less valuable they are. Scarcity, as we've discussed, creates value. Abundance does not. Now, to continue on that thought, well, it's possible for the Fed to contract the quantity of base money. It would also have to discourage and even reverse the expansion of bank credit, which would be judged by central banks to be economic suicide. For that to occur, the U.S. government itself would also have to move firmly and rapidly towards eliminating its budget deficit. But that is being deliberately increased by the Trump administration instead. Explaining the consequences of these monetary dynamics was the purpose of an essay written by Ludwig von Mises almost a century ago. There's still some really good information on the von Mises Institute website, and I certainly look at economics from an Austrian perspective, so I embrace what the von Mises Institute discusses and the information they disseminate. Now, von Mises wrote this essay about the time the German hyperinflation was entering its final phase ahead of the mark's eventual failure, which was in November of 1923. Now, the dollar, he continues, is nowhere near the circumstances faced by the German mark at the time. However, the conditions that led to the mark's collapse are beginning to resonate with a familiarity that should serve as an early warning. Now, he went on to explain that Germany actually printed currency first to finance the war, then to make reparations payments after the war. But the inflation that Germany experienced started long before the reparations demands came from the Allies. Now, the dollar has actually been a fiat currency since 1971. And Alistair in this article says the dollar's not on the hyperinflationary scale of the mark yet. However, in the article, he points out the fact that since 1971, when Nixon closed the gold window, when you compare the dollar to gold, there was 1 ounce of gold equaled $35 in 1971. Today, 1 ounce of gold is about $13.10 at the time he wrote this article. It's actually a little bit more than that now. So the purchasing power of the dollar since 1971 has dropped by 97%. Now, as he said, that's not the hyperinflationary scale of the German mark yet, because primarily Nixon and Kissinger in 1974 cut a deal with Saudi Arabia to price all Saudi oil sales in US dollars. However, that is changing now, as we've discussed. Last month, an oil futures contract priced in yuan started to trade in Shanghai. And recently, the governor of China's central bank met with the Saudi finance minister, presumably to agree, amongst other topics, on the date when Saudi Arabia will start to accept yuan for oil sales to China. Now, that may mean the end of the petrodollar, or at least oil sales exclusively in U.S. dollars. And here's the point. Alistair says, don't underestimate the importance of this development because it marks the beginning of a new monetary era which will be increasingly understood to be post-dollar. In other words, currencies other than the U.S. dollar. The commitment of the new yuan for oil futures contract may seem like a small crack in the dollar's edifice, but it's almost certainly the beginning of its shattering. I happen to agree. Again, to reiterate an often made point, be sure to store your wealth in a diversified group of currencies. That's today's economic update. Today is Thursday, May the 3rd, and I'm Dennis Tubbergen.